Hey, you guys, I'm meteorologist Leslie Hudson. Thanks for joining us with our live coverage as we continue on this Thursday night. It is about 6:37. And hopefully, if you've got some questions you want to ask me, I'll do my best to answer them for you. I spent a long time just now on Facebook, too long. I was on there for about 40 minutes, so I'm going to try not to be as long in this one. But I was really kind of getting into some of the analysis of the rain and the radar there and got a little bit into a weather nerd mode. So I apologize. I will not hopefully go that long this time. So if you've got some questions, let me know. Shoot at me, and I've got my chat open. I can see it. And let's get started. A couple of things I want to show you. So first, let's show you that live webcam. This is from Surfline, and this is over in North Carolina. The sun's, of course, starting to set, and of course, there's rain all over that lens, so it's not a great shot at this particular moment. But there was some impressive video. In fact, let me show you some of the video from Aaron Jack instead. Let's take a look at. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh, that works. Let's do that. I'm sorry, Matt. I didn't call that. Hey, by the way, a big shout out to my director extraordinaire back there, our production coordinator Matt Hyland, who's driving the bus for me while I try and ramble on here. But anyway, he's got queued up here some of the video from the pier. Yeah, this is perfect. So the Bogue Pier in North Carolina earlier today. We had this on our social media page, but watch, you guys. See that red circle? That is a massive waterspout that's moving just offshore of the pier. That's also the waterspout that moved onshore and created damage in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Now take a look at this. This is someone that shot with their phone. This is really big damage, you guys, from a hurricane-induced tornado. I'm guessing that this is at least an EF2, maybe a top-end EF1. I don't know if the Weather Service has come in with their final estimates. I haven't seen it yet, but this was really bad stuff. And we've also got some pictures from the National Weather Service. And again, this is a mobile home park. Unfortunately, several homes completely damaged. You can see the water off in the distance there. And I don't believe there were any injuries, but it was really, really nasty stuff. Several of the roofs were torn off. Several of the mobile homes completely ripped off their foundations. And you can see that here as well. And that's some pretty nasty stuff. We also have some other video that we have from Aaron Jack too. And let's see. I'm not sure where that is. Myrtle Beach, it looks like. Okay. So Myrtle Beach, Aaron has been tracking Dorian since it was in offshore of Florida for about a week now. He's been tracking Dorian. And we've also got some flooding out of Charleston, South Carolina. He was there this morning. He's since moved northward. He's chasing the actual center itself. And you can see that it was about 1 to 3 feet in some of those pockets. And then he's also got some good video of storm surge out of Georgetown. And this one, you can really clearly see the surge. Now, remember, the surge comes in ahead of a hurricane. So we get that increase of water anytime that we've got a landfalling hurricane. So someone is saying, where are the trees? I don't see any tree damage. So the hurricane technically is still off the coast of the Carolinas. So if you're asking why did we not see more tree damage in those particular vantage points, because most of the dangerous winds, not all, are off the coast of North Carolina and South Carolina. So what this event is going to be known for is its storm surge, flash flooding, and hurricane winds that will impact, we think, very close to the barrier islands of North Carolina. So I hope that answered your question. If it did not, I kind of get a little bit more specific, and I'll see if I can answer it. So let me show you the radar, and Matt, we can go ahead and take that full so I can look around with everybody. And what we have toggled on here is the software, our software that looks for what could be rotation in the atmosphere. And so far, what I'm seeing is that we've got a couple of instances here. So I'm going to start down to the south. None of this, this just looks like good old-fashioned rain to me. This is south west of Georgetown, just north of Cross. And that could be, and I tried to explain this when I was on my Facebook Live, sometimes because these storms are rotating, there's already rotation built inside these squall lines or these feeder bands from the outer periphery. And here's the eye, just to get your bearings. This is about 40 nautical miles across, you guys. It's really elongated since its inception, when it was a really powerful Category 5 hurricane. The wind was smaller, but was much more dangerous, of course, when it was over the Bahamas. No comparison from what the Bahamas got to what the Carolinas are getting. Not minimizing what's going on. It is definitely a go time here in the Carolinas, but this is not a Category 5, of course, but it's still a very dangerous hurricane. Okay, so up the road, and I'm looking here, and actually we do have a tornado warning. So let's come in to look and see what's going on over here. And let me find out what's going on with this. So looks like, hang on, I'm trying to query it with this tornado warning. It's not working. Hang on one second. Let me grab my my National Weather Service and they should be able to tell me, well, that software's not showing me either. So I don't, let me look here. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I'm sorry. It was delayed. So this was a so it expires in 3 minutes. Okay, so the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning for Lenore County, Craven County, and South Central Pitt County. They may have dropped this, and our software hasn't done it yet because I'm looking live at the National Weather Service chat room over my shoulder, and I don't see that tornado warning that's still active. I can't confirm that, but if it is still active, it expires in 3 minutes. But that was the radar indicated possible tornado over Fort Barnwell, or 14 miles east of Kingston, and booking towards the northwest at 30 miles an hour. So if that may have just expired, they may have dropped it early. I don't know, but if it does not, it has not been dropped. The severe thunderstorm warning is going to drop at 6:45. Let me take a look at this on the velocity mode. We'll go up there and look at that real quick. This is where we're looking for differing returns towards the radar site, going towards and away. I've got to turn off the warning so I can see. And there might be some rotation in this, you guys. A lot of times because, again, the sheer nature that we're talking about a hurricane, which rotates itself, and then inside that hurricane, or on top of that hurricane, however you want to say it, as those feeder bands come in. Let me just look here. We get, so as it's rotating on land, sometimes we've got an increase in that friction, an increase in the vertical wind shear, where winds are coming in from differing directions, and that's where we could see possibly what could be here the signs of a tornado. And this is probably exactly why there is a warning from the national tornado warning from the National Weather Service. So let me pull this back out. Oh, here's a great example of a couplet. Oh my gosh. Okay, we didn't have this for Facebook. I'm going to quickly touch on this because I spent way too much on this. This is a couplet. So the green, again, is going towards the radar site. The red inside, and this is offshore. This is not impacting anyone but fish, basically. But the red here, this is probably definitely a water spout, though. This is a true example of a couplet. So when you see that red inside the green, that indicates that the red is going away from the radar site and the green is going towards. So in here is rotation, and this is a pretty pronounced one. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is a water spout offshore. Hopefully it does not stay as a water spout, and it dissipates before it gets closer to land. It is going to be moving in this general direction. A lot of times they don't last long, you guys. They're fast movers. As I mentioned, these storms are moving 35, 40 miles an hour. So that's a real big one, though, that I see that was not when I was doing my Facebook Live. I'm just going to take another quick peek. I don't see any other couplets on here that are jumping out at me. They're usually not that big either. They're usually much, much smaller. That's a hefty one. Okay, I think it looks pretty good because I already looked at this before we came on because I wanted to make sure if there's something I wanted to point out. And I don't see anything. And again, just by the mere nature that these storms are moving northwest at around 35 miles an hour, and there's already the hurricane itself is rotating, so are these feeder bands. Again, that sometimes the Doppler radar confuses that for a ground-based tornado or something that's trying to rotate on the ground. So a lot of times we get these false returns that are indicating some rotation when they're really not. But there was an actual tornado warning, as I mentioned, for near Lenore County that expired just now at 6:45 p.m. Okay, let me keep going because I don't want to make this a 40-minute live like I was on. You know what, Matt? If you can punch up that video, the 3D Dorian video, because this is their live product and it's just not the same resolution. Okay, so look at this. Thanks. Here is a look at Dorian from our visible imagery. Now, a lot of people have been asking, hey, how close is it to the shore? Look how close that is. That was officially, I did the guide, I did the ruler, and actually I can still do it. You can go back to WSI in just a second, but not yet. That's just been about 50 miles off the coast. And you see all that white texturing there? That's where those northeastern winds of 110 miles an hour are. So this takes a look at Dorian, extrapolates it into a 3D imagery, and then we also get those texturing of the clouds that really can indicate some of the higher cloud tops. So if you go back to WSI, Matt, and we look live, we can see that again, the eye, this is as of 6:45 p.m. Technically, the eye is still about 45 miles off the coast. So it's hard to see because we're obviously losing light. And so this is all based on sunshine. You have to have the sun visible so it can take these pictures, and the sun up in the, high in the atmosphere to get these good resolution imagery. And then this is going to rotate around. So again, hugging up the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina this morning, still doing so tonight. But the trend again is generally towards the northeast, which is all good. Of course, away from as much land as possible is what we want. And let me fix that. And I do think that this is going to get super, super close to the barrier islands. The official path, by the way, does have a glance right over the barrier islands of North Carolina tomorrow morning. So I talked about this on my when I was on Facebook. It's kind of incidental whether we technically get a landfall or not. I know people want to know and have an official word that there was a landfall, but in terms of the hazards, if you live in this area, are going to basically be the same. So this is so close to the coastline of the Carolinas. The storm surge is not going to change whether this made landfall or not. The impacts of wind and rain could change if there's a landfall for the barrier islands, but that's about it. It's a, and I'm not minimizing that, but it's a small area that would be dealing with those 110 mile per hour winds. Remember, they're wrapped up in that northeastern quadrant of the eye. So we certainly don't want a landfall, but I don't want people to get wrapped up in the fact, oh, it's not going to touch land. Well, you're still going to have really bad weather, whether it touches land or not tonight and tomorrow. So these are live wind gusts right now across North Carolina and South Carolina. So those have been varying. Those were higher, closer to 60 just in the last hour. And another question someone asked me is, how come you're saying there's tropical storm warnings and hurricane warnings and these winds are nowhere near those winds? Because under this particular data that I'm grabbing from ASOS, which is reporting stations from the National Weather Service, that's what this is reporting. That doesn't mean that a mile from here there could not be a 60-mile-an-hour wind or even a half mile. These particular sites where the National Weather Service has placed them are reporting these winds, and we definitely see the opportunity for more of these winds to get up into hurricane strength. Speaking of, here's a look at the updated info from the hurricane warning. That has all dropped for South Carolina. All the warnings are dropped for South Carolina and Georgia. It is, or I'm sorry, not South Carolina, Georgia. South Carolina is still under hurricane warning. Goodness. So is North Carolina, and then of course up into Virginia near the Chesapeake Bay, all the way up there. A storm surge, by the way, someone had a question about that. I think the storm surge for you guys could anywhere be from 3 to 4 feet, maybe a little bit higher. So the winds now 105, but picking up the forward motion. Let me see. Someone's asking a question. Oh, it went away before I could ask it, or I could read it. Anyways, if you could ask it again, I didn't see it in time. I apologize. I'll answer it if I can later. But if you had a question, go ahead and shoot it to me again, and I'll take a look. But anyways, the sustained winds are down just a bit to 105. It's moving quicker at northeast at 10. And as we look at the official path from the National Hurricane Center, I'm going to zoom this in and we'll kind of scoot in and kind of talk about the barrier islands here for a second. So again, the reason why it's not making a landfall right on that state line of North Carolina and South Carolina is because Dorian is moving this way, right? Moving northeast, and the mere topography of North Carolina and South Carolina is helping in their favor right now to keep them away from a direct impact. But when you get up in here near Morehead City and Nags Head right here, we could see a brief touchdown somewhere very near Morehead City tomorrow morning, and then by tomorrow afternoon off the coast of the barrier islands. So it could be impacting the barrier islands as a category 2, and you definitely would get those areas are under mandatory evacuations. There should hopefully be nobody there, but if you do live there, you're going to get Cat 2 winds for sure on this projected path. And so far, based on trends and what I've seen climatologically with these type of hurricanes that are coming in at this angle, I would think it's going to be very close to a landfall for the barrier islands. And then look by Saturday, it really makes some traction and gets all the way up off the coast of Boston. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention that. So there's a tropical storm warning off the coast of Boston because we think this is going to be close enough that you're going to get a little bit of this storm as it continues to race off towards the northeast. Radar and satellite as it scoots up the coast of Georgia and into South Carolina and North Carolina. Again, still holding its own. I tell you, this hurricane has not given up. It continues to be extremely tenacious and still trying to create as much problems for the U.S. before it gets out of here. But hopefully we will see this trend quickly leave tomorrow once it gets even faster than it is now. So another quick look here. There's the eye, of course, right here. Here is North Carolina, South Carolina down in here. Someone asked that I label kind of things so they could see where they were. And then these are the barrier islands of North Carolina. Again, bad feeder band right here. That's where I showed you that couplet, that great hefty looking couplet I showed you about 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago. That's the one that's rotating on. So I really hope that thing loses its rotation, and hopefully it will. All right, storm surge warnings now just for parts of North Carolina. They've dropped them for South Carolina and up into Virginia. I'm going to show you the the inundation map. That's the wall of water that we talk about, anywhere from 4 to 8 feet, depending on tide times. Could be higher. I think that the biggest risk is, of course, still in the areas that are north of the actual eye. And let me go back up here. I've got to fix this, but I'm going to scoot all the way up into North Carolina real quick, and then we'll go down. But actually up into Virginia too. I want you guys to see and what could be going up in Maryland as well, and Delaware. So we're still talking about, again, a 1 to 3 foot surge in these areas. Certainly not catastrophic, but 3 feet can knock you off your feet easily. 6 feet of water is going to easily move cars, could even move trucks, and a really dangerous situation. We're looking at about 3 feet or so for the barrier islands. Again, those areas are prone to some of this flooding. And then even some of these spots near Wilmington are actually around 6 feet, you guys. So that's where it's really dangerous. And where we're talking about life threatening. And even on the tip there, south of Wilmington. I'm going to scoot down here again near Georgetown. We've seen a lot of flooding in Georgetown today, by the way. The video that Aaron Jajak has shot us, I've seen looks to me about a 3 to 4 foot surge when he shot it. I don't know if it got worse than that. Potentially we could be talking up to a 6 foot surge. Headed down, there's Charleston, Hilton Head, 1 to 3. And generally now that all of these cities are south of the actual eye itself, should be getting improving weather. In Florida, of course, is pretty much back to normal as well. All right, so let me fast forward past this guy. And let's see, what else do we have in here? Our computer model. So this is taken into account for tonight. And you can again see all of the intense bands rotating around the counterclockwise around our center of circulation. There's that feeder band, by the way, that we were talking about with our hefty couplet. Look at that guy coming right over. It doesn't mean that couplet will stay, that they're still going to get rotation. Okay, wait, now I got a question. Let's see. I was asking in Jacksonville, North Carolina, will you get a direct hit? You're about 10 miles from the coast. Okay, yeah, I know where Jacksonville is. I can't tell you whether you're going to get a direct hit or not because I don't know where the hurricane's going to be tomorrow morning. I can tell you that the official path keeps the eye offshore until tomorrow morning when it gets really close to the Wilmington area. So I know that you're in that general vicinity. Let me zoom in here. And apologize. I don't know every city, of course, in North Carolina, but on the current path, you should just miss it. And it looks like, again, you can't focus on this red line this is let me actually get my, here we go. So on this, should go in this general direction. That's wait a minute, come on, behave. Okay, it's not going to behave. That's the general path, which would keep you off the eye, but you would be in this scenario potentially on the western eye wall of the hurricane. So yes, you are definitely close enough. You could get winds close to 100 miles an hour for sure. I can't say that for sure that's going to happen because I don't know how close it's going to get to you, but you are definitely in the zone there where you could be dealing with Category 1 hurricanes. And I'm pretty sure that's a safe bet you're going to be getting Category 1 hurricane winds, even if Dorian bobbles back towards the east. But remember, it's moving northeast right now, and it is moving further away. You're welcome. So hopefully it won't, but that's the general path right in here towards the northeast. Okay, let's see. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, if you guys have questions, I can see the chat, but sometimes I get so into my zone here that I forget to look down at my phone, and I forget to answer your questions. So if I miss it and you have a question, please ask it to me again and I'll try and answer it. Okay, so here we are Friday night, and again pulling away from the Mid-Atlantic and the Delmarva area, but look at this, oh so close to Boston and the Nantucket area. I'm telling you, these folks are going to be like, what in the world are we dealing with Dorian? So look at some of these winds and some of this rain that's going to be rotating even into New York. We could be getting it on the island there. We'll see how this plays out. The center is way down here, but because the wind field from Dorian has expanded so much, we now could be talking about northeastern parts of the country that we're nowhere near in this path that could get some of the outer fringes of this hurricane. And then up in the New England states again, a little bit of this as well as we head into Saturday, and then it's into Nova Scotia after that. But we got to still keep an eye on this on Saturday for those areas. So basically the Carolinas will be done with this by tomorrow, late tomorrow night. But it's going to be, again, an area we're going to have to watch into Saturday for northeastern parts of the country and into the New England states, which is really unusual. At least given the fact that we weren't even thinking when this was going to happen. Okay, let's see. What does that say? What's my guess for New Jersey? I think, I think you guys are going to get similar these tropical storm gusts. I don't think you're going to get wind gusts you're certainly not going to get hurricane force winds. It's supposed to be extra tropical in about 3 days, meaning it's lost all of its tropical characteristics, but it still can have winds in hurricane, in gale winds in 70, 80 miles an hour. New Jersey's hard to say. If I had to put a sticker on it, I would say that you guys are probably going to get in those, could get some of these gusts around 50 to 60 miles an hour. We'll see if that's going to verify. Okay, I got another question here. Has the hurricane, don't die on me. Wait a minute. Oh gosh. Okay, I missed it. I'm sorry. Ask it again. Someone else is asking about Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. And again, you guys are under the biggest threat of some of these winds that are going to be close to hurricane strength. So I'm not entirely sure where Ocean Isle is. I apologize, but I'm assuming that's near the coast. So you're going to be in that zone of hurricane force 1 winds as well. And then in the northeastern U.S., I don't think you're going to get bad weather. I think there could be some squalls, some of the outer bands, outer fringes of that rotation that could be a real pain in the rear end on Saturday. But in terms of tornado risk, that's relatively low. We could see a slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center. They won't issue that until sometimes they issue them a couple of days out. But I don't anticipate that to be as much risk because, again, it's on the northeastern side of the hurricane. We'll see. Okay, so this products are 6:30 on Friday morning, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. As I scoot this along, I'm actually going to scrub the timeline here so you can see it. We see a wind peg up in Nags Head around 91. There it is, and that's at 11:45 roughly tomorrow morning. So that's anticipating this model. This is the GFS anticipating that near brush with the barrier islands there, and then scooting off after that. But I definitely could see Category 1 winds as we get in time. All right, I've been rambling again. I apologize because our numbers go way down when I sit here and I talk too long. I could nerd out on this like for hours, you guys. I really could, because hurricanes have always been my kind of where I get my jam. That's kind of where I put a lot of my education in when I was in meteorology school. And I've done a lot of seminars, and so I really am fascinated by hurricanes. And this has really been such an interesting and catastrophic hurricane as well. At the same time, as much as Mother Nature fascinates me and humbles me and is awe-inspiring in some ways, it's just so lethal and as this one has been, but the science behind it is really fascinating. So I kind of nerd out, so I apologize. So anyway, let me just take a look one more time. We're going to look up here, see if we see anything interesting. There's officially no weather warnings from the National Weather Service, which is good, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'll let you know. We'll be back up. Okay, wait, let's see. Someone's saying the Weather Channel keeps saying it's not very organized this evening. I don't know I'm not sure why they think that. It's not well organized. It's not a well organized hurricane. It's definitely ragged, but that doesn't mean that it can't put down winds around 80, 90 miles an hour. And most homes can easily stand that kind of wind for sure. Boy, a bunch of people just came on here. Wait a minute. Not a bunch of people, but I got a bunch of wind. I have to put my readers on, you guys, because it's been a long week. Okay. Okay. Answered New Jersey, answered North Carolina. Okay. I guess they just all populated for some reason. Now I can see my chat. Let me go back here and see if I see anything. Oh, thank you, Dan. That's really sweet of you. Okay, Wilmington. Yeah, Wilmington. I have a friend that she's just outside Wilmington. I'm really worried about Wilmington because you're going to be so close to getting the worst of what Dorian has to offer in terms of wind and surge. But another question that I got on Facebook, again, a lot of people talking about Florence. Not a Florence scenario, you guys. This is not going to sit over the Carolinas. This could be very similar to what was a Matthew. Again, I don't like to compare those because A, this hurricane's still impacting the United States directly right now. B, whether you got, maybe you got really bad effects from Matthew and you don't get much from this one. So if I quantify it and say, hey, it's not going to be as bad as Matthew was, but in Dorian, your house gets destroyed, then that's an unfair qualification for people that did get serious damage from this hurricane. That's why I really like to stay away from trying to compare hurricanes. They're all different. They all impact different areas differently. Generally, on a trend, if I had to put a big broad brush on it, it would be similar in scope. But I think this is going to be a faster moving hurricane and hopefully less damaging. Okay, I think that's going to do it for now. It's 7:01. I appreciate you guys hanging with me for the couple dozen people still here. And if I think I got all these questions answered. Let me know. Okay. Hit me up. Here's a look at our social media handles. You can hit me up. You also can check me out on my career page, which is Leslie Hudson WX. It's not on here, but if you want to shoot me a message there, I'll get it for sure. My radar pages on Facebook is facebook.com/myradar. Twitter is myradarwx, as you know, right here, and Instagram, myradar, and YouTube. Our YouTube channel has been going gangbusters, you guys. If you haven't checked it out, we have all kinds of video content there. All the video content that's in the app, and that video layer, the play button that's at the bottom of the app, is also on YouTube. So if you want to see some of our special reporting from John Zarella or any of the reports that we've got on there, check it out. It's really cool. All right, that's going to do it for me, you guys. Have a great night. I'm going to keep an eye on the radar, and if I see some really bad stuff, we'll jump back on and get you guys updated. All right, for now, I'm meteorologist Leslie Hudson. Thanks for watching.
Continuing hurricane coverage on My Radar.